Hello, my friends. This is your brother, Hampton. Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Hampton. Today, I want to talk about a phenomenon that some of you may have noticed. You may have noticed that as you go through life, you might have been advised at some point to be kind or be nice to others. And if you followed this, and you're a little bit lucky, you might find that other people are kind back. They're also nice to you, or at least civil to you. But you may have noticed that there's a difference between others being nice to you and reciprocating how you are towards them, maybe friendly, some deeper than others, but they may not respect you. And I don't necessarily mean respecting your choice on things. Like if you say, I don't want to go out to eat, and like, okay, no one's forcing you to do things. I'm talking about respecting you and in your opinion and your thoughts on certain subject matters. You may have noticed that's different. A lot of people who, are teenagers or younger growing up, this is something I think we've probably faced since the beginning of civilization, probably, because there's a thought that people who are older may know more. And they usually do. They have more time to experience things. They have more experience on topics, and people might hold more weight to their words and their opinions, which is fine, but you may just want to be respected more. You may want to be kind to others, have them be kind back, but maybe you're a little tired of being talked over in conversations, or nobody really asking you for things, or when you give your thoughts on matters, you would like that to be a little bit more respected. And I completely understand this, but it brings up some interesting topics that we can discuss today. Because I have found that in order for people to respect you and respect your words and respect your actions more, they have to have something they respect you on. A topic, something you've experienced, something you've accomplished that they will respect you on. Some examples might be if you have gone through college. Some people will respect you more if you have a college degree. And this happens in almost any formal field, like martial arts. If you have a certain color belt in, let's say, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, people might respect you differently based on the color of that belt. And that makes it sound like belt racism, I guess, but really, that belt color is meant to represent how much experience and knowledge and expertise you have in that matter. So from here, we see that if we want to go through life and we're friendly to others, which I think we should be, and be nice to others and be kind to others and be giving and charitable when we're able to, then we on some level will receive that back. Not everyone will respect you, not everyone will be nice to you, but some level, if you're nice to others, some people will always be nice to you if you're nice to them. But if you want to be respected, then it seems that we have to accomplish something and do something and get skilled at either a study or a practice. And thankfully, one possible benefit of the internet and current civilization, especially if you're watching this, is that this is probably more available and more accessible than it has been in certain points in the past. At this point, you can go to school. You can find even online free school. You might be able to find a mentor or find people interested in the same things you are, that are interested in the same pursuit you are. And you'll notice that you don't have to be a master at this. You don't have to be number one in the world at any given topic in order for people to respect you. But you'll find that skill is interesting. Mastery is interesting. And experience is interesting to others. And the more you accrue these things, the more certain people will respect you and want to talk to you. And just about everyone goes through this to some degree. That's why there's a correlation between age and respect, because as we age, we tend to acquire more skills and more knowledge. And this opens up some interesting discussions because it calls into question our cultural beliefs on the value of work, the value of experience, and the value of value. So I recently made a video on my main channel on hybrid calisthenics called something like, watch this if you want to do extraordinary things. And in there, I talk about the value of work. Because we kind of have, I don't know how much this will change, especially if you watch this 10, 15 years in the future and this video is still around. But currently, I feel like we have kind of a wariness around work, a cultural wariness. And this is completely understandable because work is often used synonymously with what we do for employment. And there's usually an employer for many of us that we have to work for. And unfortunately, there are many cases of exploitation in the workplace, right? So even if you know a small business owner who takes care of his team, runs her company really well, and wants the best for everyone, that's unfortunately not the case everywhere, right? So there's a lot of exploitation. And for that reason, I can completely understand why some people have kind of a cautious mentality around anyone promoting hard work. However, in the video, I talk about how work doesn't necessarily have to be what we do for employment. I understand that a big part of our lives is usually what we do for employment. But when I mentioned the value of hard work, and especially if you want to accomplish extraordinary things, and in our case, if you want an extra degree of respect, there is tremendous value in hard work. And if you want to separate it from some of the negative connotations you might have of it, then I'll share how I think of it, which is our work doesn't necessarily have to go towards employment. So when I talk about hard work and the value of our labors, it's not necessarily what we do for money, but let's say you wanted to start a very valuable charity. Just think about all the work that would require. You would have to learn about the industry, you would have to set things up legally, you would have to organize a team that helps you with it unless you want to do it by yourself. And especially as things grow, you probably will need a team to help you. Other work could be saving the environment. So let's say you have this genius scientific technology that can go around the world and pick up all the trash from the oceans, all the pollution around the land and in the skies. That'd be awesome. I would love to see that, but that probably requires a lot of study and work, doesn't it? Not necessarily for someone, even if you're just talking about you in your room, something you're passionate about, something you enjoy, that requires a lot of work. That's the work I'm talking about. And if you want to use a different word like passion or pursuit, I completely understand. But you'll notice that after you accomplish and do some of these things, and after you actively set on this pursuit, which usually takes a few years to even decide what you want. So if you're in your late teens, even early 20s, or even older, then don't sweat too much if you feel like you don't know what to do, but everyone else does. The secret is that most people around you are probably somewhat lost themselves, even if they seem like they have it together. And your accomplishments don't have to be what I've mentioned. You don't have to solve world hunger, world pollution. What was the other one? Oh, greatest charity in the world. Those are big things, and if you can do those, that's wonderful. Thank you so much in advance. But you'll see that as you do more, people will hold more weight to your words, because at a minimum, people sometimes want to hear about your experience. So let's say you did solve world hunger, at least to some extent. A big question would be, how? Oh, interesting. How did you do this? A follow-up question. And why hasn't anyone done that before? And you can have a whole discussion. You can have a series. If you solved world hunger, you could probably spend the rest of your life going on podcast appearances and TV show appearances, talking about how and why you're doing it and how you'll continue to do it. And not that going on many podcasts really means anything, but in general, it could perhaps mean that people want to hear what you have to say, maybe on a given topic or about a certain event. And there's a topic that I touched upon, a subtopic, before I move on, that I want to address, which is passion. So in your quest to get more respect and get more skilled and get better at things, and your pursuit of whatever life goal you determine, life goals usually, doesn't have to be something you severely dislike. It doesn't have to be a sacrifice in itself. Hard work usually involves some sacrifice. So I'm talking maybe a little bit less time with your friends while you're working on this. And there might be a time where you might have to choose between going to dinner with your significant other or working and finishing up a project that can help millions of people. The person watching this might think, well, I would choose one over the other easily, but different people make different decisions. So sometimes sacrifice is involved. However, your pursuit can also be your passion. You can really enjoy what you're doing in life. You don't necessarily have to sacrifice and suffer in order for people to respect, although that is sometimes part of it. You'll notice how some people have a lot of respect for veterans, for example. So that's the value of skill and the value of experience. But I want to touch upon the value of value, or what I'm calling the value of value, because there is a certain pushback that some people might have towards a video like this, or a topic like this, where they think, well, I don't necessarily think people have to be useful in order for us to respect them. People deserve respect just for being humans. And I completely agree with that. I completely agree. And even if you never accomplish anything, which is very difficult, by the way, even if you never accomplish anything, I completely agree people deserve human dignity and human respect. However, I still think there is tremendous value in learning to be useful to others. That's perhaps phrased a little bit more bluntly than I sometimes do, but that's also how I think of it. It's how I talk to myself, and it's how I would talk to a friend. Doesn't mean you're less of a human or less of a person if you're not useful to others, which by the way is very relative. I'm just saying I find tremendous fulfillment in learning skills, pursuing passions, and ultimately having the experience and ability to help others. And you can think of that from a very utilitarian, pragmatic standpoint where, haha, now that I'm more useful, I can make more money. So there are some people who think that way, kind of outside the scope of what I'm discussing here. But outside of this thought of now you have more skills and you're worth more to society. I personally want to pursue skill and mastery so I can help my loved ones, help my friends and family, and help the people who I think need help. So I meet a lot of people doing what I do. And there are some people where I recognize they have tremendous skill and talent and passion at what they do. Art, coding, video editing. Shout out to Ulysses. And you might know someone like that. In fact, you probably do. If you've ever seen someone play guitar and you think, man, this person would be a famous musician if he only had the opportunity. If only someone gave him the chance. And when you have the skill, experience, maybe connections, then sometimes you are that person. Maybe you are the person who gives someone their big break and changes their life forever. It's one of the many reasons in life why acquiring more skills and obtaining more ability can be very fulfilling. Not just for money, financial reasons, economic reasons, which can leave a bad taste in some people's mouths, understandably so. But if you are able to elevate yourself, and bonus points if you elevate yourself by serving others, let's say we're all climbing up this mountain or climbing out of a hole. If you manage to get out, you have a greater ability to reach down and help others who also want to get out. And if you don't want to think of it that way, if you don't want to think of us as being in a hole, but after you've been to a place, perhaps several times, and you know how to get there, then you can help other people who have a similar passion and a similar goal also get there. Well, I better sip some tea. Otherwise, people don't believe there's anything in the cup, even though it's clear now. But I want to tie this back to what I said at the beginning, because some people are nice and kind to others, but maybe haven't obtained the skill and experience and really just the years sometimes, if you're extraordinarily young, to have the respect that you will get from other people as you age. A very important thing to remember is as you get older and you have this skill, and now some people might not even like you, but they need you or they want you for your experience and ability. I highly recommend you still try to be nice to others. There are certain beliefs some people have that they're only nice because otherwise people wouldn't want to be with them because they otherwise aren't needed, so they have to be wanted. So some people think if they're not useful, then they have to be funny or kind or polite. But suddenly when they are useful, then some of that fake politeness and friendliness goes away. But first of all, there's probably always going to be other people who can help you. So it does pay to be nice because, as they say, you catch more flies with honey. But how we thrive as a community, to tie some of these points together, how we thrive as humans and how we thrive as an intelligent species is by helping each other. So when you have obtained something that's rare, when you have something that's worthy of respect, you can hold it to yourself, but to really help other people and elevate those around you, you can share your experience, help them get to where you have before, or even beyond. When you take your experience and knowledge and everything you've learned, and you contribute to the body of knowledge and help everyone else so they can start on a higher playing field and go beyond that, and then everyone benefits. And I think that's very worthy of respect. Have a beautiful day.